Welcome back to the show, people. Now it's time. I know it's a little early, but my man LL, he's been doing this for the past couple of weeks. So he's gonna keep the party going and talk about the Lions' updated draft position after the week of play. What you got, LL?
Yes. My apologies if you don't want to hear it. Then sit quietly for a couple more minutes. This segment won't be that long. But just giving an update on the draft positions for or draft positioning of our two first round picks. As y'all seen, the Rams signed Baker Mayfield. I'm thinking like, hey, they might go number one now, but he actually won the game for him. But we didn't necessarily lose too much. We went from because it's our pick. We went from 3 to 4. So with that, with the pick we're getting from the Rams, and this is all a part of that Matthew Stafford, Jared Goff trade, of course, but we all know that. But so with that pick, with our first round pick, our second first round pick from that draft or from that trade, we currently sit at number 4, and with our pick, we're currently sitting at 15. So a top 5 pick and a top 20 pick or top 15 pick. You still we could, if we wanted to move up and do whatever. I hope that we wouldn't, but we could do that. If we wanted to, maybe move back with that first one and move up with the second one, we could do that. We got a lot of options out there. Maybe as we just speaking about Michael Smith, this is one of the sayings I got from him. As the facts change, so can my opinion. Jared Goff might be ready to stay around for a while. We might could just, like I said before, build this thing on up. It don't even matter who the quarterback is. We just good on all levels. But just a couple of names, I guess, that get for me. But these are the names that I'm looking at so far. Of course, some of these is more popular than the rest. But hey, defensive lineman Jalen Carter, cornerback, if I'm saying it right, Kaylee Ringo, guard Osiris Torrance out of Florida, and maybe quarterback Hendon Hooker. That's how I'm looking at it falling. Maybe with our draft, 1, 2, 3, 4, and that's our with our first 4 picks. That's what I'm kind of looking at right now. So, if you guys have any thoughts, have been looking at the draft, which y'all always respond with some good names. Don't say Max Duggan to me, or I'm going to cuss at you. But let us know some of the names, or if you got any thoughts out there, draft position. What should we do? Should we trade all the picks? Should we splurge in free agency? What's some names you looking at in the draft? Let your boy know.
Now I got a little bit different information, man. It's updated like 5 hours ago. We dropped again. We're 5 now because the Saints lost and the Seahawks lost. This is on NFL.com. So
I'm looking at ESPN.
Yeah, NFL.com. We're picking 5th because we got Houston, Seattle, who went up 1 with their loss, and Denver lost. That's why they went up because the Denver lost this weekend. Chicago State number 3. Yeah. And then the Saints lost. So that moved them up. And then with the Saints losing and the Rams winning, the Rams went down 1 and the Saints went up 1. So right now we're at according to NFL.com, we're at number 5. And then this is like a couple of hours ago, like 5. And we're recording at 5 o'clock in the morning. So this is like right after midnight. So looking at that, this most likely for me takes us out of position for either Will Anderson or Jalen Carter. It just does.
Yeah.
I don't think we'll be able to get either one of those guys sitting at number 5. That may lead to, in my opinion, the Lions may trade back and add an extra pick in the first round or in the second round. So I mean, you can still add a cornerback, linebacker, safety, defensive lineman. With those 2 picks, I think that those first 2 picks should be defense this year. You're just looking at the offensive side of the ball. I think we should draft the offensive lineman. I think we need a guard this coming up year, but I think we draft him later on in the draft. But you can definitely get either defensive lineman. There's a lot of corners in this draft too. There's a lot of corners in this. This is a cornerback heavy draft. So we can get a defensive lineman, either another defensive tackle or another edge rusher if we decide to move on from one of the guys that we have, and save some cap room. But because we're deep in the street on defensive ends right now, as far as veterans are concerned.
Yeah.
So, you're looking at it. I like the fact that you have some versatility even at 5, because you might get a team that wants to get a quarterback, and they're willing to come and trade up to number 5 for that extra pick for that person. So being at 5 gives us a flexibility. You know what I'm saying? We hold a lot of cards in our hands. Or you just draft the best player on the board. If if somebody else comes up and grabs a quarterback before us, then that may put either Will Anderson or Carter in play. I doubt it though. Those two guys are they're the cream of the crop of this draft. So unless somebody comes up and grabs Bryce Young or CJ Stroud.
Well, no, because
which may happen. It may happen. That may be one of those 2 QBs. I feel like is going to get left on the board. I feel like somebody's going to get desperate and just want to move up and get them. Maybe they jump in front of New Orleans, or maybe New Orleans picks them up.
New Orleans picks a quarterback, because you got a couple of teams that want quarterbacks that's up in those top 5 picks.
That 5 pick goes to Philly. And I'm looking again, or number 4, however you want to look at it. Whichever one is right.
Yeah, number 4.
Whichever one is right
goes to Philly. They're not picking a quarterback.
One. Yeah, so but they might they might take a defensive lineman though.
But unless they pick somebody to replace Fletcher Cox, because you look at it, they picked up the big defensive lineman last year. Unless Jordan Davis, he's been hurt. So they may go defensive end. You never know what Philly may do. It's just interesting to see what's going to happen right there at that number 5 pick. But it gives Brad Holmes flexibility.
Too.
Who was that?
Brandon Graham getting long in the too.
Yeah, he is. So you look at the Philly, and you have a ton of defensive tackles and defensive ends. You look at how many guys that have declared from Clemson and their defensive line. They got a bunch of cats that's graded in the first round as well. You look at this defensive draft, it's a kind of a mixed bag. I can't, like most years, you can say this is an offensive heavy draft or this is a defensive heavy draft. This is kind of right down the middle from what we're seeing from the draft prospects. You got a bunch of guys.
I think it's offensive heavy. I think it's defensive heavy.
And then you have a lot of quarterbacks in this draft too. You got some wide receivers coming out as well. I mean, we'll see. I don't think the Lions are in line for a wide receiver. We'll talk about that in my segment and later on in this show. But it's just kind of, you have some versatility to kind of get who you want. And Brad Holmes is not above either trading up or trading back. So we'll see what's going to happen with old gunslinger, Riverboat Brad. We got a couple of gamblers on our team. They're not afraid to take no chances. Brad Holmes ain't afraid to do what he need to do, and neither is Dan Campbell. So we got some guys who will take some chances. Saying both of those positions. But one thing I will say is that whatever they do, or whenever they do what they need to do, it's always in the best interest of the team. It may not seem like that in the first place or up front, but in the long run, it's in the best interest of the team.
Yeah. You know what? I think they're going to trade back. I think they traded up this draft, and I think they'll trade back next draft, because I believe Brad Holmes is confident in his selection of talent. And I think we're going to need a linebacker and a secondary player, first 2 picks. And I just see somebody jumping up to grab one. I think CJ Stroud or Bryce Young is going to fall to that number 5 spot. And I think somebody's going to jump up to grab him. And we're going to get somebody's trade to be able to trade back like we had to trade up this year. So I don't know who that pick is going to be, but I believe, I think we might actually steal 2 picks, because the way we be doing business, I think we're gonna steal 2 extra picks.
Brad Holmes and that stick him up. He wears ski masks to the draft.
You know what I'm saying? So I think we're gonna steal 2 extra picks, man. So, and I'm just looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to him building this team, man. So yeah, whatever he do, I'm comfortable with it. But I feel like we're gonna trade back in this year's draft.
I got a question for you, Mike. Okay. So trade back. Steele in the first or trade back to the second? Because You know, we talked about our second round picks before on this, you know, our second round luck on this show before. So trade back still in the first or trade back in the second?
I'm not sure. Whatever deal is the best, that's the one that Brad Holmes is gonna take. So
we're gonna get a whole bunch of second round picks to not do nothing with.
Yeah. Well, I would say this about this year's pick. When he's on the field, man, he's been playing pretty good, and I think he's pretty healthy going on the backstretch of the season. Josh Pascal's been doing his thing. He's been disruptive. What is that?
I'm just making fun about the second round.
Yeah,
pick,
I hear you, because we have those guys that's been up and down. You got to look at DeAndre Swift, and you look at Levi Onwuzurike, and it's been way before even Brad Holmes, before Bob Quinn. You look at, we've had those kind of like iffy. You know what I'm saying? Not iffy fun, not Val, calm down, not that iffy, but iffy picks in the second round of the draft. And I feel what you're saying. Questionable, yeah. But I think we may end up with 3. I think we might end up with I think we'll still have two first round picks this year, but we might end up with 3 second round picks. Ah, damn. That boy Brad Holmes, man, he was listening to old 50 Cent mixtapes, How to Rob, because he be he be sticking up, brother, in the draft with the picks, man. Hey, to hear the rest of this conversation and see what myself and Coach Jones have to say on this topic, tune in to the full version of today's Lunchtime Detroit Lions Talk, brought to you by Detroit Lions on the Prowl. It's just one video back. You're on the channel anyway, over here on YouTube, so go back and check out the rest of the show.